Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
me, Rob. Let's get the show on the road. Post-draft.
Yes. Let's not go on the road. Let's run it back with the running back.
I see what you did there.
Snap. All right, so... yeah, guys, we're continuing our series of our going position by position, analyzing and going over all the different players that we have on the active roster currently at that position. What do you guys know? Maybe if there's anybody out there, maybe still roaming the streets that could go ahead and be picked up, maybe. And, going over our thoughts of whether or not the position is improved or dropped this year. Now, you may think you know the answer to this one already. May seem like the obvious one about running back. But you might not know what we're going to say, guys. Oh, there we go. We got to kick this off here with the newcomer, the new kid on the block, Mr. Devin Singletary. And, of course, he's there to replace one man, Saquon Barkley. Can he replace him? Of course not. That'd be ridiculous. That'd be ridiculous. I'm not that crazy, but he's a decent running back. Last year, 17 games, 10 starts, 216 rushes for 898 yards and 4 touchdowns, 30 receptions, 193 yards, and a 70.8 PFF grade. Now, again, everybody and their mother is going to go, okay, how does this guy compare to Saquon? I almost feel bad for him to a certain degree. Because every single thing he does this year is going to be compared to whatever Saquon is doing over in Philly. It's the truth.
Correct.
So, but he was a backup running back part of it. But he was a backup running back for the start this year. He was not the guy expected to be the bell cow for them. He just kind of had to be because they had some issues at the position. Let's leave it at that. But, again, Saquon 962 yards, guys. And he only had 30 more carries. Or 40 more carries, sorry. Yeah, almost 50, but not that much different, guys. Actually, no. Okay, so 216. My math was right the first time. Goddamn math. 30-point rushes difference. That's it. If you look at their stats, actually, from last year, it's not as crazy to say that they're similar. Now, why I say it's crazy to compare the two is because, let's be honest, Saquon went to a place with a much better line than he had last year.
Let's say, how much better can Barkley have done, even if you put Singletary and switched him with Saquon last year? How much better could have Saquon done last year?
Yeah, so he's going to go to Philly. He's probably going to ball out at least the first year or so, assuming he doesn't get hurt, which is always you never know kind of scenario. Devin Singletary, though, still just 26 years old. He's a couple years younger. Got the prototype size, 5'7", 203 pounds. And he's a guy that I think is going to adequately replace Saquon. What I mean by that is he's consistently going to get you at 800-900 yards. That's what he does. He's got familiarity with the offense thanks to his prior time with Buffalo. He's very familiar with Dable at that point. So he knows what he's getting himself into. He's got a little different perspective than your average free agent pickup does at that point there, But if you look at his numbers, he's got, averaging about 850 yards a season in the last 3 seasons. He's never had less than 687 yards. This is a guy that's going to be part of the answer to how to run the ball. And that's going to be interesting perspective as well, Giant fans, because we've had it where Saquon Barkley has been the guy. He's like the starting running back, the backup running back, and the third running back. He just doesn't need short yardage. They lead the
third receiver.
Yeah. Well, honestly, receiving's gone down, but I mean, this is going to be more of a stable of running backs, so to speak. It's going to be that group. It's going to be that, the trio or whatever the case may be. It's just a matter of who the 2 out of 3 are. This is the one guy you can sit there and say is definitely going to be one of those guys, and that's Devin Singletary. He's got that experience. He's been healthy for the most part of his career at that point. And again, knows the offense. You get this, what you're getting out of this guy. You're going to get a guy who's going to do about 800 to 850 yards. Not a bad running back. Not a star, though. Not a star. But I expect a better running game overall this year, potentially, because I expect the offensive line to be stronger. Thanks to some of the pickups. And getting Priscilla there as the new offensive line coach. Good luck in D.C. there, Mr. Bobby Johnson, as we've been ticking off Commanders fans all weekend long. They didn't like our draft review for some reason. Deal. But
yeah,
and this is the guy who's going to get a lot of that help now. Is going to be Devin Singletary. He's going to be the number 1 running back in this room. And I think, again, he'll do adequately. He's not going to blow the top off. He's not going to be the guy that you go, oh, my God, how do we get without this guy, But he's a guy who's going to be a consistent guy. He's going to put 50 yards a game on the ground at that point there. And there's not a lot of guys that you can say that about. He's one of those guys. There's only so many people in this league that do that. So I'm happy to have him. I think it's a great fit. I think it was a great pickup overall.
Yes, I concur. And it's a different demon. So I also, a little bit it's going to come into the change in our offense compared to last year. He's going to fit in a little bit better than Barkley. Not to say Barkley couldn't fit in here. That's probably the wrong words. I should have said there.
They would have let him sit at the cool kids with the lunch.
Yeah. You see what all the cool kids drinking their, Capri Suns. But
Kool-Aids and all.
But I'm saying, like, if Waller plays and actually stays healthy, that's going to help out Singletary. You got new receivers in this room, better offensive line. You got guys that could, tight end block. That if you guys watch next week, but our tight end, group, like, you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe, possibly segue over to next week.
This should be a better offense.
Yeah. So it'll allow someone like Singletary, who's not going to get the respect that Barkley got behind the line, to be able to do more.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty. So we go from a guy that we were very happy to pick up to the guy we've been upset we picked up. And that's last year's draft pick, Eric Gray. And I think that's a very appropriate name for him because he's got a very gray and murky potential here, I think, at this point. I mean,
50 Shades of Gray.
This is going to be the guy that I'll be most negative on over everybody else, guys. Fair warning. I dislike the pick from the get-go, and I have not moved off that since. 5'9", 210 pounds, 24 years old. He had a 57.2 PFF grade, guys. So fair warning. It's not good from a running back. You expect running back is more cut and dry. They typically have higher numbers there overall. 13 games, 17 rushes, 48 yards, 6 receptions, 22 yards. And of course, we know the issues with him as a punt returner that happened because they tried to force him into a position that wasn't really his position to begin with. Yeah, that's where we're at. And I always say, if a guy is good, he's going to get playing time. Let's call it like it is there. If he's good, they're like, you know what, you're good.
They'll find a spot for
you. The bench for you.
Yeah, left bench, keep it warm.
The fact that he averaged about 1 rush per game tells me a lot of what the coaching staff, I think, thinks of him as well. The fact the fact that they went out and signed somebody, drafted somebody, tells me what they thought of him. I think Eric Gray, even though he's technically listed number 2 on the depth chart on ESPN right now,
he'll be number 4 by the year's over.
Dude, I'll be happy if he's off the roster to a certain degree. Don't get me wrong. If I'm wrong and he balls out, I'll be even more happy because in the end, I'm a Giant fan more than a fan of my own what's the word I'm looking at? Prognostication. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
That's the word. A prognostication. I'd rather be wrong than have him ball out, than have him be gone and say, well, we wasted that pick. But I think we wasted that pick. I hate to say it. We said it that night. I remember you and I both going, what the hell? Why would we draft
who the hell's it?
Yeah. You know, we didn't even have him on our list at all. We do a lot of research on him before we go on live that third night. We're like, I don't see it still. I didn't get it. I still don't get it. But yeah, Eric Gray. See if we're wrong.
Prove us wrong.
Yeah, please do. Like I said, I'll be ecstatic if he proves us wrong. I really will be, guys. But I just don't see that probably happening. Womp.
Womp womp.
All righty. Next up, a guy we're a little more excited about here. Tyrone Tracy Jr. That's our rookie we drafted this year that we actually liked the pick of. Coming out of Purdue, and no, not the place where they make the chickens, the actual college.
Wait, they don't make the chicken there?
No, they don't make the chicken there. I know, it's crazy. 6'1", 210 pounds, 24 years old. Crazy. He's the same age as Eric Gray. Last year, 11 games, 113 rushes, 716 yards, 6.3 yards per carry average, 8 touchdowns, 19 receptions for 132 yards, and an 87.5 PFF grade. But again, those are college stats. I'm not taking that as this is what I expect from him with the Giants at that point. But he is definitely one of the more intriguing options overall in this draft because he didn't play running back until the last year, really. Played a little bit the year before, but had 138 rushes. I said 17 rushes the year before compared to 113. He's got 146 rushes on those legs. That's it. There's guys who do more than that their first year of college. So he's coming in fresh. He's averaging 6.5 yards per carry in his career. This is an intriguing option, guys. He's still going to be raw. He's still going to have to learn some stuff. Don't get me wrong. And he's going to probably make some moves every so often. You're like, what the hell? Why would you do that? Because he's still learning the position.
I say still a rook.
Yeah, but it's not just a rookie. He's a rookie. Like he's like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not only is he learning the jump from college to NFL, he's still learning to play the position. There's a difference there. There's a huge difference. But what I like overall is, again, fresh legs. He's got catching abilities. Obviously, he was a receiver at his days over at Iowa, specifically, is where he played there. Had as many as 589 yards in a season as a receiver. So he's got good hands. 113 catches overall in his career. He got good hands. And that's a skill that you look at some of this roster and you go, is there really a good receiving running back here? This is that guy. And I think you can see him. And I remember correctly, I think we even said it on the program. We talked about the picks overall is I'm looking for a poor man's version of Austin Eckler out of him this year.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't expect him to go crazy running the ball. I don't expect him to go crazy receiving the ball. I don't expect him to have 1,000-yard season or something like that.
Yeah, but the Walmart version of Eckler is what we said.
If I can get like 350 yards receiving and 250 yards, 350 yards rushing and like 250 yards receiving,
600
not
yards.
a bad start to a career.
Especially when you're
I think that's
depth chart.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm not really including Gray. I didn't look at the Giants depth chart either compared to with ESPN. I just looked at it to just confirm I had all the names. We didn't skip anybody. But I mean, I think that's a reasonable expectation. And it allows me to pose the question that I was kind of thinking myself as I was listing all these players here is Saquon better or worse than Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy Jr. combined? At the end of the year, that might be a legit question that happens, especially depending on what happens to Saquon's health.
I was going to say it depends on his health. It depends,
and
how productive, how we utilize these two guys. Do you put them, in a 22-man setup? Do you put them like a 2-back setup, an I formation? Like, Granted, there won't be a fullback back there, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also begs the question, though, still of Tracy, what he's actually going to be. We can guess what we want that we think that's what he's going to put up, and I think it's a reasonable expectation. It's not crazy to say 300 yards rushing and 250 receiving. Like that's not crazy.
600 total yards. It's not
that's not that. That's
You're asking him to be CMC or straight up Barkley's replacement. Like you're not asking him to put 1,000 yards up. That's you ask him to do like what a backup.
But if you figure Singletary at around 1,000 yards and him now at 600, that's 1,600 yards. That's not a bad combo there, because you figure 800 yards or so for rushing for Singletary and a couple hundred for receiving. So, like I said, I think Tracy legitimately could be the number 2 running back on this depth chart, depending on how good he looks coming in. And we have to see that. There's a lot of what ifs with this guy. There's a lot of what ifs. But if he learns to play the position well and doesn't make dumb mistakes, and Eric Gray is as bad as we think Eric Gray is,
that we know
this is a guy who could potentially step up. Listen, I don't want to say no because we only saw him the 1 year fully. I'm trying to keep it reasonably down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm down on the pick, I'm down on the player, but it's still time for me to be proven wrong. Same as, you as well. I mean, we haven't seen him that much, but Tracy's a guy we're higher on. And he's got that potential. So let's see what he's got, and hopefully it's some good stuff he got,
Let me see what you got.
Hit me with your best shot. Yeah.
Fire away.
Fire away. AA. All right. Gotta add the little extended there. Next up. Well, a guy who was a bright spot there a couple of years ago, Gary Brightwell. Oh, yes, I went there.
I was about to say, you definitely went there.
I did. You know what? Honestly, I've been on the Gary Brightwell train for a little while here. And again, same as with everybody else we've talked about here, I'm not expecting Gary Brightwell to be a 1,000-yard receiver. Or as a rusher, I'm sorry. I'm not even expecting, crazy like 600 or 700 yards. I don't think he's utilized to the top of his abilities. The only year he really got some chances to run the ball was 22. He had 31 rushes, 141 yards, and a touchdown. So that's basically the equivalent of like one monster game.
But like half those were in one game, weren't they?
Yeah. There's one game I forget where he was kind of just running the clock down. I mean, but he had 4.5 yards per carry. He averaged, other than that, he's got 10 career rushing attempts.
Damn,
the rest of the 2 years. The only year he had any kind of shots. And like I said, he didn't look bad. Now, obviously, they're in practice every day. They see stuff we don't see at that point. We got to keep it realistic and say he was basically drafted by the former regime to be a special teamer because he's a guy who likes special teams and didn't mind, trying to knock people's heads off on return teams and stuff like that. But, and plus he does have returning himself as well, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think he'll make the team because of his return abilities. I just hope they give him a shot to actually be a running back this time. It's kind of
you see a little bit more of that depending on what's going on. Like they're going to put Eric Ray back there. He's not going to look so hot. Like, granted, I wish I am wrong, but it won't look so hot. And next thing you see, you did. I said not so hot, not so hot.
So not like Hans.
Not like Hans. So
beautiful. But yeah, like I said, to me, it's like there's still possibilities for him. By the way, minimal plays last year, but it's to give it 7 games, 9 rushes, 19 yards, 5 receptions, 47 yards, and a 64.4 PFF grade. Like I said, I just hope he gets a shot this year. It's year 4 for him. This is his last year in his rookie deal. But first off, can we give a little congratulations? A Giant made it through his rookie deal potentially. Potentially. Like That's like, ooh, that's like get the streamers going and let's get a cake. Like that doesn't happen very often. It's year 4 for him, guys. We'll see if he makes it out of camp and onto the roster and stuff. But if he does, and I think he will, that's year 4. There's not many guys that you can actually say have made it to the rookie deal in the New York Giants lately in the last 10 years. This will be one of the few, the proud.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we'll see what the future holds. He'll be a kickoff returner probably no matter what. It's what he's done lately for us. And then, like I said, hopefully he gets some shots at it to be an actual running back this year. We'll see what happens. So
we shall see.
All righty. Next up, we have a fan favorite, Deshaun Corbin. And to be honest, I've never known why the fans liked him so much. I was going to
say.
Not to be a jerk about it, but I mean, he's been a guy that I feel like the fans have always kind of said, like, I want to see more. I want to see him in a game. So he finally had a little bit of action last year. 6 games, 1 rush, 1 yard, 3 receptions for 12 yards. There we go. Didn't even qualify for a PFF score. 5'11", 221 pounds, and he's still just 23 years old, guys. And this is the 3rd year, I want to say, that we've had him.
3rd year.
He's been borrowed at times because I think, remember, right, he went to the I want to say it was the Panthers for a little while, and then came back
Panthers
and picked
or
him back
Arizona?
up again. I thought it was the Panthers. I could be wrong.
You could be right. I mean, we're talking about trade. Well, not even trade.
Yeah, I would say this was either way. That was his first actual live game action at that point. There, he hadn't ever appeared in a game before. I'm going to look it up real quick to try to verify for you. It was the Carolina Panthers. They picked him up. So they picked him off our practice squad last year. We tried to put him on the practice squad, and then they later on dropped him. So we picked him back up again in late October.
That should show you all you need to know. That if you can't make the Carolina Panthers,
you can't make it on the Panthers roster. Things aren't going well for you.
The worst team.
And again, we've now sat this guy the last couple of years in the practice squad. And at what point do you say, I've seen enough?
It's because he's a preseason hero.
Yeah. That works out well. That's X Bachman. That works out.
Yes, exactly.
When he got sitting on the Texans practice squad after that. But I mean, to me, I'd rather give somebody else a shot at the practice squad. We've already seen what he is. He's been around for years. We haven't used him. That means they don't like him. Not just as a person, but as a player. Before somebody says, "Oh, that was mean."
Yeah. Listen, it could just be a style, the way he runs that Dable doesn't like him.
No, it's not. He would have made it the Panthers roster. You're trying to sugarcoat this too much.
Too much.
Allow me to be the Debbie Downer and tell you the truth. Here we go. It's, again, if you can't make it on the Panthers, you can't make it anywhere except for the UFL. Probably his next stop. Probably his next stop. One of those kind of places there. So, yeah.
Blame Canada.
Time for the fast train. The turbo. Because it's time for Dante Turbo Miller. Boop-a-doo. You know what I think of this
turbo
guy.
time.
You know I am like big on this kid here. I am excited to see what he can do. I look at, again, if you guys didn't hear the story of Dante Miller and what he can do. I urge you, go back and look at that story. We gave the whole story
like 20 minutes on it.
Oh, we did, and I never spent
Maybe
so much
longer.
time on a guy who may not even spend any time on the active roster this year. It's just an amazing story he has. It really is.
It's going to be the Blindside Part 2.
It really is, except it'll be true.
That's going to say.
I just hope Sandra Bullock's still in it. She's really nice.
Yeah. And they don't have to dramatize this. They might have to cut some of the stuff out of this real life.
Seriously. I mean, it's like I said, rough childhood, drug addicted mother, foster homes, eventually adopted by his cousin, ends up at Columbia University, ends
separated
up
from his brother and sister with his grandmother.
Yeah, it's the whole thing's crazy. I mean, to get out of that situation to go to Columbia University, I don't care if you play football, it's still a tough school to get into. And then, goes off to South Carolina to try to prove he can do it at a bigger school, and then getting screwed because South Carolina didn't understand the rules out of his last year of eligibility. I mean, the whole story is just absolutely crazy, guys. Anyway, Dante Turbo Miller, 6 foot even, 216 pounds, 25 years old. So definitely one of the oldest rookies out there. South Carolina in 22, he's played 6 games, rushed it 6 times for 38 yards. That doesn't sound good, guys. But I'm telling you right now, if you know the whole story, the quick synopsis of it is they planned on trying to redshirt him and not use him very much this year in 22, and they wanted to use him this past year as their lead running back. And instead, they were stupid and ruined his year of eligibility because they didn't understand the rules. Year before, at Columbia, 21, 10 games, 145 rushes, 814 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, that is. 4 touchdowns, 9 receptions for 43 yards. He also returned kicks at Columbia as well. He was the top Ivy League running back multiple years in a row, guys. On top of that, at his pro day, I should say his is a South Carolina pro day, really, but it was all about him. And so, again, I hate, and I want to go over the whole thing. It was like a 20-minute spiel we gave last time at that point. Just watch the episode. It was good, I promise. I'm not just saying because we were on it. but they messed up. They thought he could play 2 years in South Carolina. It turned out it's just 1 year he can play at South Carolina. And they already had made it where he couldn't sit out that year, basically. He'd already played too much that year. It had already counted as a year of eligibility. They decided to sit him down so they can try to fight it and get another year. They lost the case. So 23, he couldn't play. Ends up where he was supposed to be in the 22 supplemental draft, and no one even knew. No one had a chance to go for him. So they just decided he was a free agent, basically. So anybody could sign him, the Giants do, but he was at the pro day for South Carolina. And literally, he would have been the, if he was able to go, he would have been the guy who basically was top above the board in pretty much every single metric at the combine. We're talking speed, strength. He had it all. Like, absolutely insane.
SAT score.
Yeah. So this is a guy that you got to be excited about the potential, but you got to also kind of level it and go, but he hasn't really played in anything above Columbia University, which, not to be rude to the eggheads there, but they're not exactly known for their football skills. Occasionally you get somebody out of Harvard like Ryan Fitzpatrick, but you don't really get guys out of Columbia University going to the NFL. I think, honestly, and I could be wrong, wouldn't be the first time, the fact that they waited so long to draft a running back, because Tyrone Tracy was not a day 1, day 2 pick, guys. This was a day 3 pick. The fact that they didn't go out get one early on, and they know that they didn't have really much behind Devin Singletary, makes me think the Giants are kind of expecting something from this kid. They gave him a decent amount of money. Again, he was a free agent. They didn't pay him $100K like you pay a 6th-round pick, which is what they said he probably would have been as a 6th, 7th-round pick, just because, again, he played at Columbia University. But those metrics, guys, those metrics are exciting. He's going to be a really, really good player, potentially. Or he's going to be a really bad player. I don't think he's going to be in between.
Well,
that's what I really think on him.
But he has great education.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
But he's got the worth ethic in there. So, like, you have to look at this kid, like, potentially, I think he has the ability to be something in this league. Is he going to be, Shaq's replacement? Probably not. But will he have a career in the NFL?
He doesn't play basketball.
Yeah. Shaq Barkley. You never heard anyone call Shaq? We went through this already. Big silly.
Maybe he'll be on TNT with Chuck.
Yeah. Dynamite.
But like I said, I got high hopes for this guy because I'm rooting for him. And I'm biased as hell in this guy, guys. I'll tell you point blank that I have never read a kid's story and rooted for someone so hard in my life. That's how it is.
Right back in.
So here's his numbers, by the way, at his pro day. A 4.27 40 time. 4.27. That's elite speed, guys. That's elite speed. He benched 225 pounds 28 times.
It's more than Evan Neal, wasn't it?
Well, Evan Neal was flipping burgers instead. He was practicing
Yeah.
for his real job he's going to get.
Touché.
Yeah. He leaped 37.5-inch vertical. Yeah. Guys, that's impressive. He's got the athletic tools. And he's got a brain, obviously. If he can put it all together, I think he's got the potential to be something special. And I know I sound crazy saying it. I really do. I know. There's this something about this that makes me go, this kid's gonna do something. And maybe the resolve that he has. I mean, he's already, got degrees at Columbia, at South Carolina, and I think he's going for another one at South Carolina. He's got work ethic. There's just, it seems to be the complete package. The only thing you're missing is seeing a couple of years in tape of him at a school like South Carolina. And that's not his fault.
Correct.
So, all right. When you stop my infatuation.
Yeah, I was about to say, before we go over this 20 minutes again, guys, if you want to see it, go back.
I know. Go back to this. It was a tearjerker. Bring the Kleenex box with you.
Yeah. Bring
Very
some
nice.
popcorn. The sad tissues.
Sad tissues. Oh, God. Don't bring the happy tissues.
Yeah, don't. Definitely. It's not that kind of episode.
No. It's never that kind of episode.
You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll enjoy yourself.
Yes, just laughing and crying. It's only acceptable liquids. Anyway, next up, Deion Jackson, original member of the Jackson 5. At least someone told me that. I didn't get a chance to verify it. 6 foot even, 216 pounds, 25 years old. I believe he's a baritone. No,
he likes long walks on the beach.
He's not a member of the Jackson 5. Who knows if
he was part of the Jackson 6, but they cut him.
I've heard he's related to Tito. No. Anyway, 4 games, 1 rush for 14 yards, 5 receptions for also 14 yards. He split time last year between the Browns, the Colts, and the Giants. 3 teams in 1 year. 29.7 PFF. He went through 10% of the league almost in 1 season. Guys, don't is it pretty obvious here what's going on?
Camp body.
That's what
Camp bodies in space.
That's what he is. Like, he's just there to go around the campfire and tell scary stories, okay? While doing his own rendition of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now, he spent a couple years. Yes. Well, he spent a couple years with the Colts prior to that. So in 22, he was all 16 games. Actually had 2 starts. 68 rushes for 236 yards and 1 touchdown. That's only 3.5 yards per attempt. And that's the same team that cut him this year. So, yeah. Not really excited about this one here, guys. Again, camp body, got some experience. If he makes the roster, something's wrong. He's probably enough years in the league that you don't want him to be the guy you bring in and put on the practice squad. But be honest, somebody's probably going to sit there. Maybe Deshaun Corbett again after all. Who knows? Maybe Dante Miller, I mean, you got to look at, options here. And it's probably where we're at. Because if I had my way, granted, I don't. If I had my way,
we have Burger King.
Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Gary Brightwell, and Dante Miller. That's my 4 running backs I'd want to keep.
Yeah, I mean, even with the bias of Miller, you're right there. Singletary's going to be your number 1. You're probably going to get Tracy's number 2. And then Brightwell 3, Miller 4, but you'd like to see Miller do better. But
I'd like to see Miller become the 3 because he's on a fresh deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, nothing to do with the pay Gary Braywell a ton of money if he's free. I don't listen. All I want is I want a good running game. I want a solid running game, and I want it to be, a mix of different styles. We've never had that really. It's the closest we had to that was when we had back in the day, like Bradshaw, Jacobs, and Derek Ward, like these kind of combos.
Yeah.
And that's a long time ago now, guys. So it's kind of exciting to see, but there's also a lot of unprovenness here, and that's the kind of not so exciting part. So that leads us to the question we ask on the segment here, and we got to ask: should the Giants sign another running back? And of course, the picture always gives away one of the answers of who it's going to be. So this is not a good crop of running backs left, guys. It's really not. And again, running backs don't age well, so you can't really expect that. Here's where we're at. Dalvin Cook, last year with the Jets, 67 rushes, 214 yards to 3.2 yards per carry average. He's 28 years old. Obviously, multiple-time 1,000-yard rusher. Just didn't work out. He wanted out of the Jets even and got out and ended up on the Ravens for their postseason. So, I mean, that might have just been a bad marriage. I thought it was a weird mix to begin with. Why would you want to be a backup quarterback at this point in your career? You got maybe 1 or 2 more years to start. Why be a backup?
Yeah, you definitely want to be the backup, and that's what you're going to be to Brees Hall over there. And Brees was hurt, but he came back, and you got to remember too, those numbers are kind of a little bit skewed because he was played a little bit more at the beginning of the year last year, and his numbers were low. And it was once he became the backup where those numbers shot up to 3.2 average of.
They shot right up to 3.2.
Shot right up because they're at a 1.6. They doubled at 1.8. So, as a fantasy football guy, that everyone's like, oh, you should get this. You should get Cook at the beginning of the year.
No, we're good. Next up, brother of former Giant Elijah Penny, Rashad Penny, who last year played with the Eagles, 11 rushes for 33 yards, 3.0 yard per carry average. He's 28 years old. He's shown a lot of glimpses in his career. He can never stay healthy.
Correct.
And again, he's 28 years old, guys, and he can't stay healthy. I'm good.
Yeah, when you turn 29.
Engine 29. Do. Don't
worry, Rashad, because when you turn 32, it's going to fall downhill.
30's when you start to die. And that's all of us, by the way. I know I 32. Felt it at 30. I felt it at 30.
I was a competitor at 30. 32.
I could have been a contender. Next up,
back surgery.
We have the option that I'd be interested in, the one I had on the picture there, Cam Akers, who definitely did not start very well with the Rams. I'm trying not to hold that against him because he wanted out. They wanted him out. So there was definitely issues there.
For a season, then some.
Yeah, I don't know what the issues were. I don't pretend to know fully. I don't think it's ever been fully released.
No.
But that was just a bad marriage. He got divorced. He went to Minnesota and caught himself a Viking. 38 rushes, 138 yards, 3.6 yards per carry average, 1 touchdown. Not stellar, don't get me wrong, but he's still 24 years old. If I were to take a risk on somebody who's a veteran, I'm going to take a risk on the 24-year-old and see what he can do.
Not the 34.
Yes. Who would be Latavius Murray, who's next up on the list at 34 years old? Who last year played with the Bills, 79 rushes, 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Actually, one of the better lines here on this. But again, he's 34 years old. Do you really want to put a 34-year-old in a building roster at that point? So,
no.
Cam Akers, 24. I don't mind doing it. Got Kareem Hunt last year with the Browns, 135 rushes, 411 yards, a 3.0 yard per carry average, 9 touchdowns. He's 28 years old now. He's getting up there. I don't want anything to do with Kareem Hunt purely because of the legal and personality issues that he's had over the years.
Yeah, I mean, he was on my fantasy team, and then he kicked me right out of the playoffs.
He's kicked a lot of things, and it's not always been playoff things at that point. I mean, he's had issues. I just have really a lot of trouble at that point.
After battling his legal issues, after going through some injuries, like when he became a Brown, like he put up some good numbers, but he wasn't like he was when he was with the Chiefs.
No, and I still can't get past the video of him literally like hitting a woman. Like, no, I can't. You're done. My eyes, you're done. I never want you. That's where I'm at. So yeah. Next up, this name may not sound familiar.
I don't know if you guys ever heard of this guy. Yeah. It's another vet around the league.
Matt Breida.
Yeah.
Perhaps. He played with the Giants last year, whoever they are. 55 rushes, 151 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's now 29 years old. Really did not have a good year last year, but I still think, and again, I'm probably get lambasted and people probably complain, oh, look at him trash talking Saquon now that Saquon's gone. I trash talk Saquon when he was here still, goddammit. But it's not trash talking. It's legit to say that Saquon in our offense was such a ball hog that none of the other running backs ever got a chance to get going.
Yeah, I don't blame Saquon for that.
No, it's not like he demanded it. Probably, I'm sure it was just given to him.
But when you have legit one superstar on your team, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, like I said, I like the stable of running backs. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with it this year. Next up, Jerick McKinnon, who would fit right in with our kicking team at that point for a Scottish name. Played with the Chiefs obviously last year. 21 rushes for 60 yards, a 2.9 yards per carry average, and 1 touchdown. He's now 32 years old. So he's your age, Rob.
It's right when it goes downhill. Yeah.
Well, at 30 is when it starts to die. Then you got another name that had a decent career, and that's Melvin Gordon, who's now 31 years old. Played with the Ravens last year, 26 rushes for 81 yards, 3.1 yards per carry average, and a touchdown. You can see there's a lot of big names. There's not necessarily a lot of good names.
The big names 5 years ago.
Yeah. Like I said, the only one that I'd be interested in is Cam Akers, and that's because he's still young.
Correct. The only thing that concerns me is like there was some, like you said, there were some issues. He wanted to get out.
I don't know. I'd want to hear the issues. I definitely would want to do the issues.
Yeah. We'd like to hear it, but
we'll never know.
The world may never know.
They're not going to tell us. But I mean, the year before he had 786 yards, 4.2 yards per carry in with the Rams. And that's 15 games, only 9 starts. Like, it wasn't like they fed him the ball nonstop all year long. He still had a decent year. He was injured the year before that, then had 13 games, had 625 yards. So if you take out, just look at those two years at that point, he had some decent action. He's not a stud. He's not a Saquon. But he's a guy that I could say would legit be a legit number 2.
Correct.
You could pair him with a guy like Singletary, and maybe now instead, you get a guy like Tracy becomes a third down back or something like that. Because I remember looking at him and watching the tape and going, he wasn't horrible in pass pro, which I was kind of shocked for a converted wide receiver. Maybe that's what you do. If you look at it. So I wouldn't hate if they bring Cam Akers in. But the rest of them, I'm good. I don't need to be blocking a guy who's been in the league 1 or 2 years so I can put in 34-year-old, Latavius Murray. I'm sorry. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at. Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. We got to ask the last question. But before we do that,
I was going to say, whoa.
We got to pay the bills. Rob's going to get on me. I keep on being bad. Remember to pay the bills. So we're going to pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Alrighty. And also, if you guys haven't already, please do me a favor. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, especially if you're on YouTube, or if you want to go to YouTube and hit that. Very much appreciated there. That's
Really
our
helps
main
us
goal.
out.
We're trying to get the subscriber count going up here on that. So much appreciated in advance, guys. All right, let's hit the comments.
For you guys to
section
have,
here.
thank you.
Yes. Deb says, overall, I've been disappointed in Barkley after his rookie year. I'm probably the minority. I'm looking forward to seeing Singletary. I wouldn't say I've been disappointed in him overall. I would say last year I was happy with him. But last year is probably his second best year minus his rookie year. I think part of the problem is when you go into a rookie year and you have 2,000 yards total, it's hard to, you get a couple injuries, you get knocked down a little bit of a peg because of that. It's hard to repeat that. You got a bad offensive line. You got a quarterback that isn't the best, to put it nicely. There's issues. They were stacking the box on him like crazy. I don't know how much of that is Saquon and how much of that is, the Giants. I'm actually kind of curious to see what he does this year with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because if he looks similar to how he looked with us, then we can say, okay, wasn't as much us, it's just who he is. If he gets injured, okay, wasn't as much us, this is just who he is. But if he balls out and has a 14, 15, 100-yard season and ends up doing another 2,000-yard season, we can say, okay, we've ruined this guy. We wasted the prime years of his career. And I think probably somewhere in the middle is what's going to happen, to be honest with you.
Probably.
I would expect him to do about 1,250 yards and have that kind of season there with him.
Yeah.
As long as he's healthy. That's the big key with that. As long as he's healthy. Let's see. Brian McGowan, Big Blue, what's up, man?
What's up, Big Blue?
Says Singletary will surprise people. Interested to see how camp battles go for the rotation, though. Yeah, that's going to be the fun part. Singletary is definitely going to be as close as there is to a bell cow. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Brian says it would be nice if Turbo could be our A-chain, how he is for Miami, but with these new kickoff rules, scoring is going to shoot up. Share your guys' channel on a couple of Facebook Giants pages I'm on. Much appreciated, man. Appreciate that. But yeah, no, like I said, listen, I can go another rant on Turbo. I'm going to be nice and not too, because Rob's going to smack me. I'm a big fan of Turbo. You know what? The fact that he has a cool nickname just like cements it for me too.
It's Turbo time.
Turbo. Get in the chopper. Sorry. Combining Arnold movies randomly. By the way, am I the only one who loves that picture they keep on sharing over like social media when Arnold Schwarzenegger was shooting Conan, and I guess Andre the Giant stopped by? So you have Arnold Schwarzenegger next to Andre the Giant and Will Chamberlain, and oh my God, does he look so tiny. I've never thought I'd say in my life Arnold Schwarzenegger looks tiny.
I have not seen that picture, but
there is a picture of it, and I don't want to show it on here because it's probably like
that's about copyrighted, so that's
probably copyrighted. I'd probably get in trouble. But yeah, it's crazy. Just look up. I'm gonna look up and make sure it works before I do it. If you just search Will Chamberlain, if you search Will Chamberlain, Andre the Giant, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the names just back to back to back, it'll come right up. And I'm telling you, it is crazy how much the height difference is there alone. But it just makes Arnold look so, even though he still looks extremely cut, obviously, he looks like a kid next to him at that point. It's crazy. But yeah. Anyway, I go on another rant instead, and for some reason, look up the picture. It's fun. But yeah, let's see. Brian says, let the young kids play. Kareem Hunt is the only option, or the only one maybe I take a shot on. Like I said, I don't want him just because of who he is. talent-wise, the biggest thing for him I'd be interested in is the fact that he does get in the end zone. That is a key part of
His
I'm saying it's a key part of football, no matter what Jason Garrett would tell you.
he told us a lot of different things.
It's like, get that field goal. Get that field goal. Keep getting that kicker paid.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into our final section here, guys. So our final section we have to go over here tonight about running backs. And this is going to hurt a little seeing this picture, guys. I'm sorry in advance. I did do it. Running back. Better or worse in 2024 as we see Saquon in that bright green. It's kind of a little weird to see, isn't it? It's a little weird. It takes some getting used to seeing that there. So here's what I wonder. And maybe I'm crazy. And you guys can tell me if I'm crazy. Are we worse? Of course we're worse. We lost a guy who is a potential Pro Bowl caliber running back. Anytime you lose that, you're never worse.
Yeah.
I'm going to say never better, I should say. My question is, are we really that much worse, though? On paper, it looks really bad. Singletary came close last year to the same kind of numbers that Saquon did. Eric Gray, maybe he gets a little better. Tyrone Tracy Jr., I think a nice addition. I really do.
Yes,
Brightwell, maybe he gets a chance to actually play a little bit. Deshaun Corbin, I'm kidding. No, he's not gonna play. Deion Johnson, he's not gonna play either. Turbo, who knows? He's an unknown commodity, but he's got some potential to do some special things because he does things athletically that other people just can't do. I look at this and it's a group that I sit there and say, starter wise, we're worse. But are we perhaps better off at depth? And I think that's where it is. And I think that's a lot of what we've done this year in general is improve the depth. You know, if you look at last year, we had Matt Breida, who, let's be frank, didn't play very well. He's still unsigned for a reason. And I look at him and go, okay, how much was it Saquon not, being the guy that just was going so crazy running the ball that he never got a chance to get going? Some running backs take some time to get going. Part of me goes, oh, well, he's 29 years old and he's a speed demon guy. Has he lost that?
He lost a little pep in that step.
That happens at 29. Let's wait till you're 30. 30 is when you start to die. Not 32 like some people have you believe. So yeah, like I said, I think we're better off depth-wise, but I think we're not as good starting-wise. But I think if the depth improves to the point that I think it potentially could, I could say that we're a little better potentially group-wise because of the money difference. That matters when you're talking about a salary cap thing. So if we can get similar production out of this group to what Saquon is providing the Eagles, or would have provided us, and we're not going to spend the crazy money that Saquon got for a running back. Again, it's not crazy money overall, but the crazy money that Saquon got for a running back, then you can look at this and go, it's not, not that bad. I mean, the cap number this year for Devin Singletary is $3.7 million, guys. Yeah. So that's a big difference there, guys. That's
four guys that have probably potentially started making half of what Barkley it's going to be guaranteed this year. Well, not guaranteed, but his average.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is Barkley's. Here you go. Oh my God, I never looked at Barkley's number to see how they did the numbers. They had the same cap number this year. They built a $19.3 million void year into Barkley's contract for 27. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't know what to say about that. That's just insane. They have 4 void years on this thing. They're going to pay him $4 million and change for 4 years after he's gone. Good luck, Eagles.
Yeah, my God.
Yeah, that's why they gave him a ton of money, and everybody said that was a little crazy. But yeah, so again, we don't want to be in that cap situation because I'm telling you, eventually the shit's gonna hit the bed there. It's gonna Amber Heard.
Yeah, you got to pay the
that point.
piper.
You're gonna have to pay it eventually,
You're
and
gonna have
the
to pay the
Eagles
attorney for Amber Heard.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're in a scenario where we're going to be cap healthy, cap strong, and we're going to be able to go ahead and make moves we need for the future. We're not going to be paying $30 million a year to people who played 5 years ago. Because this is what the Eagles have done with so many contracts. Not even funny.
Yeah.
So, again, in a position that has less value, are we weaker? Yes. Are we as weak as people might think we are? Probably not, to be honest. Especially if Saquon can't stay healthy in Philly. Because I'll tell you right now, if Saquon gets hurt in Philly,
we won.
Can't play, we won right there. Exactly. We won right there. So, like I said, I'm curious to see what happens here. And I'm curious, it's the big change overall for this team. And it's going to be an exciting group overall. So I'm curious to see what they do. I'm excited, cautiously excited to see what they do from the running back position. Go Turbo.
Turbo time.
I can't help it. I can't help it. All right, guys.
Can't help but do the turbo time.
Tomorrow, we're off. But Wednesday, we're back.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Monster truck.
Rob was like, first thing, wait a minute, we're not recording tomorrow. What are you talking about? So we'll be back Wednesday night for you guys. We're gonna go over the receiving room.
We just did running backs.
We loved it so much. We're doing it again. Turbo. No. So we're gonna talk about the wide receivers. And again, another part of the team there. It's really exciting. If you look 2 years ago compared to what we got now to then, there's a big difference there, guys. We're going to talk about some love we have for a few players in that room there because we have some very much fondness for some of these guys in that room. Mm-hmm. So I know I can think of 3 off the top of my head that I may rant positively about.
Ooh.
Oh, yes.
That kind of episode.
It's going to be positive. There's no Debbie Downer in that episode. So again, guys, as always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/Twitch. No, Twitter/X. Twitter/Twitch. Yeah. Whoa. Oh my God.
Twitch?
It's been a long day, guys. Twitter/X, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile.
LinkedIn.
Oh, yes. Again, if you're watching us on video, please do me a favor. If you're not already on YouTube, hop over there real quick, give us a like and a subscribe there. Much appreciated on that. Like I said, that's our main goal. We're asking viewers right now. And of course, the next day we're available on every audio podcast platform known to man, pretty much. So, we're on, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, all the big ones there at that point. I don't know why I drew a blank there at the beginning, but I did. And of course,
Spotify, the biggest one out there.
Yeah, whatever that thing is. Listen, Spotify hates us. I'm going to tell you that point blank. Okay, like I can see our stats. Like Apple is like 2/3 of our downloads on audio. Spotify hates us, and I think it's because they want us to use Spotify instead of Buzzsprout because that's their version of downloading and being a cloud server and all that stuff for a podcast. And Buzzsprout's better. Sorry, I'm using that deal. So
yeah,
we will see you guys again Wednesday, guys. We appreciate you guys always there. As always, Giant fans.
Go G-Man! Double time!
G-Man! G-Man! Double time! G-Man! We see how we get it going for it, G-Man!
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 Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.